Okay, students, in continuation with last topic, services under the union and states, we have discussed about services and Article 309, 310 and 311. Now we are discussing 311, in which we are discussing about constitutional safeguards, in which we are continuing our discussion with some case laws. So, in which we have discussed yesterday certain safeguards. In continuation with this, the next one is denial of report of inquiry officer. Denial of report of inquiry officer. The case is Managing Director ECIL versus B. Karunakar. Managing Director ECIL versus B. Karunakar. The case is year 1993 for Supreme Court cases 727. Managing Director versus Karunakar. What is in this case? The Supreme Court held that when the inquiry officer is not disciplinary authority, the delinquent employee has a right to receive the copy of the inquiry officer report so that he could effectively defend himself before the disciplinary committee. Okay, so a denial of inquiry report before the disciplinary authority takes its decision on is a breach of principle of natural justice. So, here denial of inquiry report before depart proceedings is amounts to violation of principles of natural justice is one case. Okay, in this case, what is the finding of Supreme Court? In this case, 5 judge bench Supreme Court held that since the denial report of inquiry officer first schedule reasonable opportunity and to the employee to prove his innocence and a breach of principles of natural justice. Okay, so what is the finding of Supreme Court? It amounts to violation of principles of natural justice. That is what I told you in constitutional safeguards. So the denial of inquiry report before taking disciplinary proceedings, so that if you give him that inquiry report, he can defend himself. So this is one principles of natural justice. Next one is acquittal in criminal proceeding, but departmental inquiry holds guilty. So here, where the employee of the BHEL was acquitted by the magistrate from charges of theft of machinery of the BHEL, but the departmental inquiry legally held the employees had committed theft, dismissal from service held to be proper because the disciplinary proceedings were separate from criminal proceedings. In criminal proceedings, he was acquitted by magistrate, but when it comes to departmental proceeding, it was proved that he committed theft. So what the court said, both are not one and same, so we are taking a separate, so his dismissal is court supported. Okay, so the next one is termination of service when amounts to punishment. Termination of service when amounts to permanent. So, the protection of Article 311 is available only when the dismissal, removal or reduction in rank by way of punishment. Okay, so 311 is available. The protection under 311 is available when it is dismissal, or removal or reduction of rank like punishment, then only you can avail the opportunity in 311. So the Supreme Court laid down two tests to determine whether the termination by way of punishment. First one is whether the servant had a right to hold the post or the rank, whether he has been visited with evil consequences. Okay, so if a government servant holds had a right to hold the post or rank either under the term or any contract of service under any rule governing the service, then the termination of his service or reduction in rank amounts to punishment, he will be entitled to the protection Article 311. The about two guidelines what I mentioned by Supreme Court. Only then you can avail the opportunity you should challenge the termination, and you can avail the constitutional safeguards under 311. Okay, so next, there is one case, Purushottam Lal Dhingra, Dhingra, Dhingra case. Okay, so in this case, what happened? The appellant was appointed to officiate on a higher post. That is what you have to remember. So after 2 years, service of the appellant was reverted to his original post in the way of his being considered again for on the ground of unsatisfactory work. It was said that the order of the reversion would not stand in the way of being considered again for promotion if in the future of his work he conduct justified. Okay, what Supreme Court said in this case? Supreme Court, what it said? The appellant had no right to the post as he was merely officiating in the post. Implied term of such appointment was that it was terminable at any time on reasonable notice by government. Okay, so here Article 311(2), in case of where the government servant had no right to hold the post, or rank is termination from service, or reduction from rank, and the post rank, he never had the right. An order of removal, reduction in rank is evil consequences where it is entitled or provides for the forfeiture of his pay allowance for the stoppage of postponement of his future chances of promotion. Okay, so in this instant case, the order reversion did not in any way affect the future promotion or seniority of the substantive post. So what in this case, Purushottam Lal Dhingra case, he was appreciated. So that is the reason why once his reduction is reduced, his post is reduced, he cannot avail the protection under Article 311, Clause 2. Okay, so here reduction in rank means under Article 311, Clause 3, reduction from a higher post to lower rank or post or not nearly losing his place in rank or cadre. Okay, here one case. So reduction means what? Lowering your cadre. Normally what happens in departmental, they used to reduce the rank. Okay. So Supreme Court held that the reduction order did not amount to punishment. For punishment or forfeiture, hours. Okay. So what we have to understood is the cases which we have been discussing. These cases will come under. Okay, so what we have to remember again, the suspension is not a punishment. We have disciplinary inquiry, dismissal, removal after inquiry. That is punishment. Suspension is not a punishment, what we have to remember. So the next one is compulsory retirement. When it comes to compulsory retirement, so a premature retirement of a government servant in public interest does not cast a stigma on him and no element of punishment. So we have this premature retirement and compulsory retirement, not voluntary retirement we are discussing. This compulsory retirement is not a punishment. So, and the protection of Article 300 will not be available. The expression in the context of premature retirement has well settled meaning and refers to cases where the interest of public administration require the retirement of government servant. Okay, who with passage of years is prematurity government service into which he belongs to. Okay, so this compulsory retirement is not a punishment in the interest of public, because if they feel their services are no more valuable, their services are not going to help the government can ask them for compulsory retirement. For that, we told you already, is 25 years service or 50 years of age. Okay, this is the guideline. So, here what happened? under Article 310 of the Constitution, the object of compulsory retirement is to weed out the dead wood. Weed out the dead wood means you have to remove the dead wood because it is no more valuable. It is not going to help you at any cost, and it is not going to help the public at any cost. So, for that reason, they are taking this measure called compulsory retirement. Okay, so what are the guidelines for compulsory retirement apart from this age and service? What are the guidelines? So, in one case, State of Gujarat versus Umed Bhai M. Patil, AR 2011, AR 2011, Supreme Court 1109. The Supreme Court laid down following principles governing compulsory retirement. Okay, so the first one is when the service of public servant are no longer useful to the general administration, the officer can be compulsorily retired for the sake of public interest. Here the first thing is public interest. Okay. The second point, ordinarily the order of compulsory retirement is not be treated as a punishment under 311 of the Constitution. So this compulsory retirement is not going to be treated as a punishment. That is what we have to remember. Okay. The first one and second one is. The third one is for better administration, it is necessary to chop. It is necessary to chop up dead wood, but the order of compulsory retirement can be based after having due record to entire service record of the officer. It is like it is like to chop dead wood, and the services rendered by employee will also taken into consideration. Okay. Next, an adverse entries made the confidential record shall be taken note of and be given due weightage in passing such order. So here the service record will also taken into consideration. The next one is the order of compulsory retirement shall not be passed as a shortcut to avoid departmental inquiry when such course is more desirable. So sometimes what happens if the person committed some wrong, to remove him, before removing and dismissal him, they are going to follow the shortcut method to help the employee. That is not allowed. The next one is if the officer is given promotion despite adverse entries made in the confidential record, it is a fact favor the officer if the officer is given promotion. Okay. Next, the compulsory retirement shall not be imposed as a punitive measure. It is not a punishment. What we have to remember is from Supreme Court guidelines, it is not a punishment. It is to chop out the dead wood. Okay. To protect the public interest, and if the officer is given promotion despite adverse entries made in the confidential record, that is a fact in favor of the officer. Okay. These are the provisions they have given. So here the guidelines is given in this case, which I have told Umed Bhai Patil. What are the facts of this case? In the present case, respondent was an executive engineer working in Narmada Developmental Board Department of the state of Gujarat. He was placed under the suspension on 1986 pending disciplinary proceeding. An inquiry was initiated against him alleging that he had committed acts of misuse of power connection with the purchase of transfer. Finally, he has been convicted. Compulsory retirement effected from 1987. He was due to retirement on superannuation by the end of the August. And he is going to retire within 6 months. So they applied this compulsory retirement. And the respondent has successfully crossed the efficiency at the age of 50 as well as 55. He was placed under suspension pending disciplinary pending. The state government has enough time to complete the inquiry against him within reasonable time. Even the review committee did not recommend the compulsory retirement of the respondent. He had only less than 2 years to retire from service. The court therefore held that the order of compulsory retirement was passed for extraneous reasons was liable to be set aside. I told you. So here what happened? Before 1 year, he is going to retire within 1 year, they have applied this compulsory retirement. So it means it is some malified intention on the part of the department, because there is enough time to conduct inquiry. Moreover, his services are 1 year due. So here if you apply this principle, this compulsory retirement, what happened? It is to save the particular officer. That is what Supreme Court said. This order is, Supreme Court set aside the order of compulsory retirement. Means, so what you have to understand in this case, here they have applied the weapon of compulsory retirement to save the officer. Okay, so here what, he is going to retire within 1 year. But to save him, they have applied compulsory retirement without punitive punishment. So for that reason, that order was set aside, because he is only having only 1 year service. So it's not required. That is what Supreme Court said. The next one is K. Nagaraj versus State of AP. K. Nagaraj versus State of AP. AR 1985, Supreme Court 551. AR 1985, Supreme Court 551. This is regarding the retirement age. So it has held the termination of service of employee on account of reaching of age of superannuation does not amount to his removal from service within the meaning of Article 311, Clause 2. So, in this case, this is what we have explained. They have taken GO when Ramarao was Chief Minister. They have reduced the age of retirement 58 to 55. So that case is. So in this instant case, it was held that reduction of age of retirement from 58 to 55 under the Andhra Pradesh Public Employment Regulation Ordinance 1983 was not violative of Article 14 and 16, since it was not arbitrary or unreasonable in the circumstances of the case. The retirement of employee in accordance with the law, rules, regulations of conditions of service does not amount to removal from his service. So his contention is he has been removed from service. Removed means superannuation. After superannuation, you are supposed to retire. He challenged that. So Supreme Court said it is not a punishment. This is not punishment. This is not removal. It is a government role where they have reduced the age of superannuation. Now the government is increasing age. But during that time, what happened? The government reduced the age of retirement from 58 to 55. That was challenged in this case. He challenged, his contention is, he have a right to challenge that under Article 311 under constitutional safeguard. The Supreme Court said this is not punishment and removal. So how can you approach the court? How can you challenge it under Article 311 too? Okay. So another case, Bhaktanath versus Chief Medical Officer. Here also in this case they have given some guidelines for compulsory retirement, but the case which we have discussed just now means not Nagaraju. Before that case, that is the latest case when you compare with this Bhikshanath case, Bhaikanath case. So now whether Article 311 applies to both temporary and permanent servants. Okay, the constitutional guarantee of reasonable opportunity is available to both compulsory and temporary servants. So Purushottamlal Dhingra case, which we have discussed, of Union of India, Purushottamlal Dhingra case, AR 1958, Supreme Court 36. So in this case, it applies to both. Article 310 in terms makes no distinction between permanent and temporary servants. Members of services between holding temporary and permanent post in the matter of their tenure being dependent upon the pleasure of the President or the Governor. So does the article, in our view, make no distinction between two classes, both of which are therefore within the protection of the decisions holding the contrary views cannot be supported as correct. So what happened? When it comes to application of 310 and 311, the doctrine of pleasure may differ, means superannuation period like this. So in the view of the court, there is a difference between permanent and temporary employment, because when it comes to applying doctrine of pleasure, the same safeguards will be available to, according to court, in the court views, the same safeguards are going to be available to even temporary servants. Okay. So, here there is another case, State of MP versus Ashwani Kumar, AR 1997, Supreme Court 352. It has been held that termination of service of a temporary employee on the closure of project is valid. The respondent was engaged on daily wages central scheme. After the closure of scheme, if services were dispensed with no vested rights created the temporary employee. This is what regarding temporary employee appointed for a project, separate project. So here the closure of project, he lost his employment, he cannot challenge it in the court of law because the project is and he has been appointed for that purpose only. Okay. So if you look at all the cases, and we have discussed all the cases, and we have discussed of Nagaraj case and constitutional safeguards. So we have discussed different cases and constitutional safeguards when this Article 300 class 2 is going to be available. Okay, this is what constitutional safeguards. The next point is exceptions to Article 311 class 2. So normally these safeguards are available. Sometimes it may not be possible to follow principles of natural justice under 311 class 2. That is called as exclusion of natural justice. So in a further proviso to Article 300 class 2, the protection of Article 311 for giving a reasonable opportunity is not available in the following circumstances. Is not allowed under circumstances, is not available. So what are those? First, conviction on a criminal charge. Conviction in a criminal charge means when a person is dismissed and reduced in rank on the ground of misconduct which has led to the conviction of criminal charge. Already court punished him. So here when you are taking a decision regarding job, so you need not apply principles of natural justice. This is already convicted. Means here one case, Venkateswarlu versus State of AP, AR 2011, Supreme Court 2955. It has been held that where the trial on a criminal charge results in conviction of a public servant, disciplinary proceedings are bound to follow against him. But even in the case of acquittal, departmental proceedings may follow. Their acquittal is other than honorable. So here what happened? Once he is convicted by magistrate court, so departmental proceedings will also continue. So here what they can take action against him. So here he did not give notice and all this because he has been already convicted. Okay, next, not practicable to hold inquiry. So where the authority empowered to dismiss or remove a person or to reduce him in a rank is satisfied that for some reason to be recorded by that authority in writing, it is not reasonably practicable to hold such inquiry. So if the situation is not favoring to hold inquiry, so the particular authority can take action. So how to understand this particular provision? Only looking into a case law, you can understand this particular provision. So, case Jaswant Singh versus State of Punjab. Jaswant Singh versus State of Punjab. The appellant was dismissed from service without holding departmental inquiry by exercising his power under Class B of second proviso of Article 311 Class 2 Constitution. The two reasons what they have mentioned, the appellant had thrown threats to he would not allow holding of any departmental inquiry against him. Okay, he has shown some threats. If the inquiry is going to be conducted, he is going to attack you. Okay, the next one is, the second point is, the appellant had thrown threat and he and his associates would not hesitate to cause physical injury to the witnesses as well as inquiry officer. The second thing is he and his associates. He and his associates will not, his associates do not want to allow witnesses for inquiry and even the inquiry officer. Means they threaten to cause physical injury to the witnesses and as well as inquiry officer. So based on that, what happened? Here they have conducted inquiry and take action taken. So here this is an exception where there is no practicability to conduct inquiry. If you throw threat to inquiry officer or witnesses, it is very difficult to conduct inquiry. Under these circumstances, you cannot ask for principles of natural justice. Okay, next one is where the president or the governor, as the case may be, is satisfied that the interests of security of state, it is not expedient to hold inquiry under article on this provision. So if the president or the governor, as the case may be, satisfied. So if they took time, it is not expedient, it is going to create problem, and interest of the security of state, satisfied that in the interest of the security of state, so you need not apply the principles of natural justice. It is third one. Here, so if you look at these three exceptions, simply, if there is no possibility of conducting inquiry because there is a threat from accused person, and if the president or governor satisfies that, it is taking the time they are taking and conducting and following these principles of natural justice is a threat to the security of the state. That can be holding inquiry can be exempted from principles of natural justice envisaged in Article 311, Clause 1. Okay. Clause 2, Proviso 1 deals with exceptions. Okay. So now we have discussed about doctrine of pleasure, one aspect. What is doctrine of pleasure? The next one is constitutional safeguards available to civil servants. We are talking about civil servants. These are not available to the people who are working in defense personnel. Okay. The next one is, and we have discussed cases regarding this safeguards, when these safeguards are available, when are not available. The next third one is the exceptions under Article 311, Clause 1, Provision 2. What are the exceptions available? This is what doctrine of pleasure. Okay. So if the question is asked like this, doctrine of pleasure, you have to answer doctrine of pleasure with this answer. What is that doctrine of pleasure? What is doctrine of pleasure under 310 means how India following the doctrine of pleasure. What is the principle they are applying in UK? Are we following same means? We are not following the same principle. Means this doctrine of pleasure which they are been following in UK. Okay. So next, constitutional safeguards and exceptions. So if the question is asked, you have to apply, you have to write these three areas. The one is what is doctrine of pleasure. The third one, 311, the constitutional safeguards, and next exceptions to constitutional safeguards. So here we have discussed 6 to 7 cases, relevant cases and important cases, which we are going to give you elaborate explanation to understand this concept of doctrine of pleasure. So in this topic, under union and services, this is very important, doctrine of pleasure. And next we have to discuss about service commissions, establishment of service commissions. So that is like a separate topic we will discuss. So next, the service commissions. So we have All India Services, which we have discussed under Article 311(12) of the Constitution, which provides for the creation of All India Services. And so in this, Rajya Sabha will pass a resolution supported by not less than 2/3 of members present in voting. This is what we have discussed. in center-state relations. So if we look at service commissions, we have Union Public Service Commission, and we have State Public Service Commissions, and we have Joint Public Service Commissions. So now we are going to look at the Constitution provides for establishment of service commissions for the Union and each state. Article 315, Clause 1. Two or more states may agree to have common public service commission. 315, Clause 2. The Union Public Service Commission, if requested by the governor of state, may with the approval of the state agree. Okay, so here Union Public Service Commission, State Public Service Commission, or two more states asked for creation of Joint Public Service Commission, the President may appoint Joint Public Service Commission for two more states. Okay, now you have to look at the appointment of Public Service Commission members. So the chairman and members of Union Public Service Commission or joint commissions are appointed by the President, and in case of state commission by governor. What we have to remember is, under Article 316, governor. So the Union Public Service Commission members are going to appointed by President and removed by President. When it comes to State Public Service Commissions, the members are going to appointed by the President, governor. When it comes to removal, only President has to remove. Okay, so here a member of Public Service Commission, what is the tenure, shall hold office for a period of 6 years unless he attains the age of 16 in case of 65 years. 65 years in case of Union Public Service Commission, and in case of State Public Service Commission, 62 years or 6 years, whichever is earlier. When it comes to Union Public Service Commission, 6 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. When it comes to State Public Service Commission, 6 years or 62 years, this is the retirement age, or you can call it a tenure of the Public Service Commission members. Okay, every public commission added by one chairman and other members. Okay, so when it comes to qualifications, and this is going to, they are going to appoint from different fields. From half of the members are have to become from 10, those who have been worked in state government at least 10 years. See, government servant, what you have to remember is state public servant. Government servant means the university employee is not a government servant. The person you appointed as a member of Union State Public Service Commission as representative of state government, that is not allowed, because the university employee is not government servant, because it's a official, it is an autonomous body. Okay, so here what we have to remember is next, what are the functions of public service commissions? Article 320 provides that it shall be the duty of the Union and State Public Service Commissions to conduct exams for appointments. If requested by two or more states, it shall be the obligatory on the Union Public Service Commission to assist them in devising joint recruitment. So here, what are the functions of public service commissions? So this is very important. What are the functions? The first one is in all matters relating to methods of recruitment to civil force. The next one is on the principles to be followed, making appointment, promotions and transfers and suitability of candidates. On the principles to be followed in making appointments, promotions. Normally they will appoint, but promotion. Now you have a case where the Union Public Service Commission asked to submit the list of proposed candidates for Director General of Police. That is happening today. So Union Public Service Commission is also taking part in the promotions. Okay. Next, on disciplinary matters affecting a person of service under central and state government. Next, on any claim by such person for the costs incurred of defending legal proceedings initiated against him in respect of action in purporting to be done in the executive of his duty, and any claim or compensation in respect of injuries sustained by person, okay, while in service of government. So in all the matters, it is the duty of the Service Commission to advise. However, the President and the Governor make regulations specifying the matters in which either generally or in particular circumstances The commission may not be consult 203 under 203. Okay, so here and additional functions may be assigned to the Union and Public Service Commissions, an act of Parliament of State Legislature, and Article 321. The expenses of the Union or State Public Service Commissions, the salaries, allowances of members are charged from the consolidated fund of state, and it may be in Article 322. So the next one is the Commission shall submit an annual report to the work done by them in President or Governor, the report to be laid before the Parliament. Okay, so what we have to remember is these are the functions of Service Commission, and normally we all know about functions of Service Commissions: conducting examinations, taking care of promotions, giving guidelines in case of promotions. So here the every government will pass some laws regarding recruitment. That recruitment policy, they have to follow the constitutional provisions like reservations. So there is a duty of Union and State Public Service Commissions. So with this, we are concluding services under the Union, State, and the topics what we have discussed. The important topics in this aspect are doctrine of pleasure and constitutional safeguards and exceptions to constitutional safeguards. So you kindly go through with cases. When it comes to I simply summarized the public service commissions. So the functions of public service commission and state are both on one and same. Appointment, what I told you, the members, 50% members are coming from retired, government servants who have served the government 10 years. So this is what services under the union and state. In the next class, we are going to meet with the next topic.